Welcome to Learners Academy. This is Mona Bhatia and I'm going to start with SYJC poems. The name of the poem is Indian Weavers and it is written by Sarojini Naidu. Stay focused, stay tuned throughout the session. Let's get started with the poem now.
There are many poems written on different stages of life, like William Shakespeare. He has written All the World is a Stage, and you have read this poem in 10th grade also, where he describes 7 stages of man's life. Similarly, Sarojini Naidu also has depicted 3 stages of man's life in this poem, Indian Weavers. So, I'm going to explain this poem line by line explanation, one line at a time. Let's read the first stanza. We were weaving at a break of day. Why do you weave a garment so gay? Blue as the wing of a halcyon wild, we weave the robe of a newborn child. So in the first paragraph, actually this poem is in a question and answer format between the poet and the weavers. The weavers reply to the poet's question in each stanza. It is like a dialogue between the two, and the time of the day is the metaphor for the stage of life. And you'll also observe that the color and cloth chosen are also chosen as per the stage of life. As the poem flows, the mood of the weaver also matches the stage. So the first question is what the weavers are weaving at the break of day, that is at dawn, which is a symbol of beginning, which is beginning of the day. And the weaver replies that they are weaving robes for a newborn baby, which is also symbol of beginning of a life. So the garment is bright blue as the color full plumes of a halcyon is actually kingfisher. So it's the color of a kingfisher's bird, as the birth of a child is a very, very happy occasion. Alright, it's a time for celebration. So is the beginning of day. It only has joy and happiness for some time to follow. So this was the mood of the first stanza. Start of the beginning of the life, beginning of a new era in a person's life, that is birth. Let's read the second stanza now. Weavers weaving at fall of night, why do you weave a garment so bright? Like the plumes of a peacock, purple and green, we weave the marriage veils of a queen. So in the second stanza, the poet asks another question to the weaver, that what they are making at the fall of night, that is evening, and also ask why the garment is so bright, alright, and why the colors are chosen so bright like purple and green. So the weavers, they answer that just like the plumes of peacock, which is very colorful and has green and purple color, they are also weaving marriage veil of a queen. The second stanza refers to the stage where an individual enters a married life. And since it is a happy moment of celebration, the bright colors are used. And the hint of purple and green also depicts that now onwards, life will become a struggle. After this, these colors signify sorrows and adversities that are going to come along, because the responsibility increases. Now you don't have that carefree nature. You will have to become more responsible. Alright. So as after marriage there will be responsibilities and burdens. These will be the part and parcel of your life. So the color mode also changes from bright blue to purple and green. And the time changes from the break of the day to the fall of the night. So the final stanza. Weavers weaving solemn and still, what do you weave in the moonlight chill? White as a feather and white as a cloud, we weave a dead man's funeral shroud. So in the final stanza, you'll observe that the weavers are solemn and still. They are serious. They are not in a rejoicing mood. And the time is also night, which is cold, which is chilly. And that time, this cold and chilliness, that signifies death. In the last stanza, you will also observe that all the colors have vanished, and now the garment is white as feather and as white as cloud. And both the object also, you will see, They are lifeless object, and there are no emotions here. As the person dies, emotions also die, and both the objects with which comparison is made are dead objects, that is feather which is detached, or the cloud which is very light. All right, so in the first two stanza, the comparison was made with the living beings, okay, living birds actually. So you see the time of the day matches with the stage of life. The color and cloth also are in accordance with the stage of life. Also, the mood of weavers matches the time and purpose of their work. Figure of speech is a technique or a tool of expression by means of which one deviates from the ordinary expression in order to produce a better or a more emphatic linguistic effect. Alright, so in this poem also Sarojini Naidu has used various figures of speech to bring about the beauty and the linguistic effect. So in the first line you can see the letter W is highlighted in cyan color. So since there is a repetition of the sound wa, so there is an alliteration over here, and also you can see that I have underlined break of day. Break of day is a metaphor for for the stages of life. It is compared, indirectly compared to the birth or the first stage of a life. All right, that you can understand when you read the first stanza full. And there is also an imagery. When you read this stanza, you create an image in your life. All right, when you read this line, we were weaving at break of day, immediately a scene is created in your mind with the help of these words. Like in the early morning dawn period, you can imagine a weaver who is weaving something. Now in the second line again there is an alliteration. W letter is repeated and letter G is repeated to give the sound G. And there is also an interrogation in the sense because there is a question asked here. All right, and in the second in the next line you get an answer. An idea or a fact is emphasized by using a question. Okay, so most of the time interrogation may not get a direct reply from the audience, but here there is a conversation, there is a dialogue, there is a question and answer between the weaver and the poet. All right, so in the third line you can see blue as the wing of a halcyon wild. So halcyon is a bird, and the garment is compared, the color of the garment is blue. It's so bright, like it is the wing of the halcyon bird. Halcyon is kingfisher. So there is a indirect comparison, and so there is a simile because the word chosen are as. The poetess is trying to compare the color of the garment with the brightness of the halcyon bird. All right, and there is also an inversion here because the correct prose order should have been the blue colored cloth is directly, the wing of the halcyon wild is blue. This should have been the wings of the halcyon blue wild is blue. All right, now in the fourth line you can see again letter W is repeated. Now let's go to next stanza. W letter is repeated again, so you can see there is an alliteration. You can as you go through the poem, you will come to know that alliteration is there in each and every line of this poem. All right, it's there everywhere. All right, now we have in the sixth line you see there is an interrogation. Again the poetess is posing a question in front of the weavers. In the line 7 you can see the color of garment is directly compared to the purple and green colored plumes of peacock. All right, in the 8th line again there is an interrogation. Now in this previous line, like the plumes of a peacock, purple and green, so there is an alliteration because letter P is also repeated thrice in the same line, and because of the use of the word like, there is a simile. Now we move on to the third stanza. Again letter W and letter S they are repeated in the line to bring about the poetic beauty. Next, if you see the next line, what do you weave in the morning chill? There is an interrogation as well as alliteration because sound of W is repeated. Now in the second last line, white as a feather and white as a cloud. So there is a simile. The garment is directly compared with the color of feather or a cloud. Alright, and also there is repetition because white word is repeated here twice. Alright, and if you see in the last line, there is another alliteration W. So alliteration is there in each and every line of this poem. So that was all about the figures of speech of this poem by Sarojini Naidu.
I hope you enjoyed watching the explanation of the poem. I'll be uploading critical appreciation of the poem also. If you want to see more of such videos, subscribe to my channel so that you don't miss any of my future videos, and do share with your friends also. Thank you for watching. Have a wonderful day.